Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to touch on accessory cleansing and how to do this successfully on your account. I did do a video already that I'll try to remember to link down below where we talked about artifact cleansing, and it is a little bit different between artifacts and accessories. So wanted to do two different videos on the topic so that we can be a little bit more exact in how we're talking about artifacts and accessories to cleanse your account successfully as you are rolling them up and trying to figure out which ones to keep. So in this one, we'll talk about accessories. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so I made a quick little graphic here to show some of the points that I wanted to hit on for each of the different slots in rings, amulets, and banners. Now, one overarching thing to keep in mind is you don't have to be quite as picky on accessories as you do on artifacts, because for both, as of making this video, Plarium does add to this slowly over time. It actually started as 500 back in the day. So if you're a new player and you think you have it rough trying to cleanse your account, back when Raid first came out, we were having to keep our accessories and artifacts down to 500 a piece. So you've got almost triple the storage for some of these gear pieces that we did compared when Raid first launched. And because we've got 1300 for both artifacts and accessories, it means that it is going to be tougher to keep your artifacts below that threshold, because we have got 6 different gear positions that are factoring into that 1300 versus accessories where we've got literally half as many. We've got 3 gear positions feeding into that 1300. So it is going to be easier to keep your accessories managed than your artifacts typically for most accounts. And obviously, the gear cleansing and gear management is going to be wildly different depending on where you are at in your stage of playing Raid. That goes without saying. Someone that's been playing for 2 or 3 weeks is going to be managing things a lot differently than someone like me who's been playing for 3.5 years. And I talked about this in my artifact cleansing video, but I do a lot of account takeovers and a lot of gear cleanses, and the things that I will look for when I log onto someone's account and I embark on trying to do some gear management for them is I look at their account level, their account power, and their fastest champion, so that I can try to get a quick metric within a few seconds of trying to figure out exactly where they stand in their artifact management and where their account sits in terms of progression. But what I'm going to do here is try to break down some general rules to keep in mind when you are trying to manage your accessories successfully. So let's start with rings. We'll work left to right. So for rings, you're going to have a legendary has to have a flat stat. So when you have got a legendary ring, let's see if I can find a champion with a legendary ring. Let's go over to Lydia, has got a legendary ring. So what is going to happen is the ideal is going to be getting 3% stats on them. So that means when you've got 4 gear rolls, that one of them is going to have to be a flat stat. So you can't go with the typical flat stat, get rid of it rule on rings, because you have to have at least 1 flat stat on legendaries. Now for rares and epics, you do not want flat stats. You're going to want either double or triple % only rolls if it is a rare or an epic. And then what else do we got here? We covered that. Rares are worth rolling to level 12 if they've got double % rolls that synergize. Now, typically, attack and defense don't synergize very well. So if you've got a defense main stat ring and it has got the attack as one of the substats, that's not going to be a great ring. Typically, it can be. You've got champions like, I don't know, the champions that you want to get a little bit of defense on them because you're using them as like a carry or something early game. And so it can synergize, but usually attack and defense don't synergize super well. But my main point is, let's say you've got an HP ring that's a rare, and the 2 substats are HP % and defense %. That's worth rolling up to level 12, because it could go double HP and then attack % or whatever, and it could be a pretty solid rare ring. So definitely worth rolling up. Accessories in general need to be rolled up to level 8 or level 12 to kind of get a lay of the land, but for sure, rare rings that have 2 percentages, if they're 6-star especially, could be worth rolling up to level 12 during an artifact enhancement event. And all of the stats are going to be mostly sought after on rings. Rings are your typical stat stick, attack, HP, defense. all of them can be good main stats to have. HP is probably going to be the one that's most universal, because typically on your damage dealers, you'll get like a cold heart or something where you want an HP ring because you don't really have to stack a bunch of attack. And by getting HP on your damage dealers, you can manipulate the AI into not targeting them sometimes. So worth considering that HP might be the most sought after main stat on rings. Then moving over to amulets. So we've got, you'll end up with the most of these. That is true. Amulets are gonna be the most like hard to tell when it drops if it's going to be usable or not. Banners and rings are a little bit more simple. On rings, you can see if it has flat stats. On a banner, you can see if it doesn't have speed, or if it's like a flat attack main stat or whatever that you're not going to need very many more of. There's different parameters that will tell you immediately if rings and banners are worth keeping or not. Amulet is going to be a lot tougher because all of the main stats except for like attack are going to be pretty valuable. You don't want to keep very many attack ones. I've got written on there, but you definitely want to be rolling up your amulets to level 8 or level 12 during artifact enhancement events, because you need to see which ones are going to hit those double and triple accuracy or resistance rolls. In Raid, it is very important, especially when you get to the end game, to stack a bunch of accuracy or resistance. On some champions, both. You got champions that can be really good as like a general utility champion for places like the Hydra or whatever, and you want them to have a good amount of accuracy and resistance. So you really need a good collection of those amulets on all of the different stats that have accuracy or resistance. There are a few exceptions, like you've got a Trunda where you want a crit damage amulet that does not have accuracy on it, but why not get one that has, you know, a roll or two of resistance, then maybe like flat attack or something on it. But there's always going to be special exceptions. Typically you want the ones that are hitting double and triple accuracy or resistance rolls, and it can be great to have both accuracy and resistance on an amulet. Then lastly, for banners. Now, banners are going to be insanely impactful. They're probably the most impactful piece on all of your gear. Maybe some of your bottom pieces on artifacts can be insanely impactful as well. Gloves for like a damage dealer if they're crit damage with triple crit rate, something like that. But your banner is going to be a huge source of accuracy or resistance, which are two of the most powerful stats in the game for a wide variety of builds. And it is the only spot that you can get speed on an accessory. So this is one spot where a flat stat is going to hurt you on your accessories, where you really don't want them ever. Even on a legendary, you would want speed plus 3% stats on them ideally, but it is really important to roll these up to level 8 or level 12 as well during artifact enhancement events, so you can see which ones are getting those double and triple speed rolls that are going to be so crucial to hitting those speed thresholds when you are starting to put together a champion. And yes, there are some of those weird niche builds where you don't have to worry about speed at all and you don't really want any of it, but that is very niche. I would say 99% of the time you are going to want speed on a banner. So prioritize those banners that are dropping with speed and then percent stats on them, and you'll probably end up wanting the highest amount of accuracy and resistance banners, because on a 6-star you can get 96 of that stat, and it's just so huge to get that much accuracy and resistance on a spot of gear. Then when it comes through to going through your account and cleansing some of the stuff, actually let me switch my camera so I'm not blocking stuff here. There we go. Okay, so when it comes to going through your account and cleansing, you're probably going to want to first get rid of rare rings, because you want those epics that have 3% stats on them, those legendaries that have 3% stats on them, and the rares you can go ahead and cut loose, because you're never going to get those triple rolls or anything once you get to a stage where it makes sense to do so. Maybe keep some of those reaction pieces, because you're going to want them in the arena and the tag team arena for sure. You can see a lot of mine are rolled up to level 8, level 12. You want to be doing that during artifact enhancement events so you can see which ones are worth keeping, which banners are hitting double speed, which amulets are hitting triple accuracy, which rings are getting double and triple percent stat rolls that you want. You need to know that on your accessories. So wait till there is an artifact enhancement event live. Use that as an opportunity to go through and roll a bunch of stuff to level 8 and see what's worth keeping, because if you've got a bunch of stuff that's unrolled, you're just not going to know. You're not going to know when you get to an end game point of raid. You don't want to hit a wall where you have 1,300 accessories that aren't rolled. And then it's going to be a nightmare. So you want to kind of slowly work on this. It's not going to happen overnight. Raid is basically an MMO at this point. You want to slowly manage your account optimally over months and over a year or two to kind of slowly put yourself in a position where it's easy to manage things. Like I'm at a spot where I've got 1,100 or so accessories. I've got a couple hundred spots that are free, and I've got most of the stuff rolled. So it's very easy for me to tell if something's going to be worth it or not. And every artifact enhancement event, I just quickly go through for a few minutes and see about any of those borderline pieces and then roll them up to 8 or 12 to see if it is worth holding onto or if it's worth cutting loose. And I can show you how a couple of these situations play out. So like this is a legendary ring, it's attack, and it doesn't have any attack on it. So not great. Honestly, this one's pretty borderline on keeping. It's just not going to do well. Roll it up to level 8. You see it hit double flat stat. So we immediately know that we can cut that loose. So we sell that right now. So things like that you're going to want to do during an artifact enhancement event on an amulet. I've got an epic here. So this is an HP amulet with accuracy, which is good. Crit damage is fine, and flat defense. This is pretty synergistic. If this gets like a double accuracy roll, it could be pretty good. Right there, I went 1-1-1. That's not a great piece. It's decent. It's good for the mid game. It's not going to be great for the end game. You would want at least 2 rolls on the accuracy there, but it's worth keeping right now until I get to like 1250 plus, and then that might be one that gets chopped off. For a banner, do I have one that I can, that's unrolled? Okay, so we've got a banner right here. This is great. We've got defense, so we're looking for toughness stats on the bottom. We're looking for defense and HP. You can get defense on the main stat and then also get defense percent on the bottom. Can I find an example of that? That's resistance, defense right here. So this is a good example of that. You get defense as the main stat and then a double roll of defense on the bottom. It's unfortunate that it missed speed, but we can still glyph that up very easily to 11 or 12 speed, and it's got a ton of defense in the sacred order for a champion like Martyr or something that really wants to stack defense. So a banner like that, perfectly fine. If we go back to the one that I hadn't rolled yet, you've got this epic right here, and it's a perfect example of the kind of banner you'd be looking for. It's got the really all of the flat stats can be pretty good and pretty useful. It's not accuracy or resistance, but it's still worth holding on to. And then we've got 3% stats on it. So then as I go to roll this up, really the only thing that would make this a sell is if it hits double attack. If it's a defense banner that hits double attack, I'm probably going to have to cut it loose, and that would be an unfortunate outcome. And there you go. It hits double attack and 1 speed. So that's not a very good banner. It's going to be very rare that you would want a banner that only hits speed once and it's defense with double attack. And it's only an epic, so I would go ahead and just cut that one loose right away as I rolled it, and it went really poorly. So right there it is, and it seems like a good piece. It seems decent, but when you get to the end game, you have to make decisions like this. You can't just keep everything. You can't just keep everything that's decent or could be good in some situation. You've got to make those cuts and force yourself to be more picky than you would like to. Otherwise, you're just going to be perpetually full, and your account management is going to be a nightmare because you're going to sit at 1,300 on both sides, and you're going to have a full inbox and everything. And that's when you're going to be in a situation where then you get yourself into a pickle of a tough management situation. So yeah, hopefully this helped you with seeing the mindset of the frame of mind that I am in as somebody who's played Raid for years, and how I go about doing some account takeovers to do gear cleanses, how I manage my main account, and the different parameters that I'm looking for when I am trying to decide what to keep, what not to keep, what to roll, what not to roll, and all of that. If you have any parameters or things that I didn't mention in the video, or anything you disagree with, definitely let us know down below. I really enjoy reading through community input as well. So remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.